Hello there YouTubers. This is a little video about, well, one of my favourite little saws, the Echo 330 EVL. I mean, they are very old saws now. I think they probably date back into the 70s and 80s for sure. But the beauty about them is they are sort of modern saw in so much they have a chain brake, so that makes them reasonably safe. But they're quite a light and easy to use saw. I think we've got two of these in the family and a 440 EVL as well, and I have to say I don't think I paid more than £60 for any of them. The 440 I actually paid £10 on eBay for it, and it literally took 10 minutes to get it to run. It was just a blocked fuel filter and a blocked oil filter, so the bar wasn't oiling. So the bar is quite worn, but I have to get another one of those. What do you expect? But he runs beautifully. Now this one, I think, was this was the dearest of the three. That's sort of used by my oldest son. And the typical thing people do, and we all do these things, you tend to start the saw, holding the handle, revving it, and then when you pull the recoil starter, you're tending to pull it away from the saw. So what's happened, it's actually cracked in there, and the screws that hold the cover on, that one there is sort of pulled out and cracked the casing underneath. So what I've had to do, because there's no way I was going to be able to get a screw to go back in there from the outside, I've taken it apart and I've made an aluminium reinforcing piece, shaped piece there, as you can see. That's the ignition coil above it there. Bit fiddly to cut out. What I did is I cut a cardboard template, and that was the final one. I had sort of 2 or 3 attempts before I got one that was the right shape. And I've also araldited the which is an epoxy glue, 2-part epoxy glue. There's lots of them available. Coated it with araldite as well to glue it in place. Now I know really plastic like this doesn't glue very well, but if that's just to help to retain it, what I could have done was drill a few small holes through the aluminium into the plastic, and then when you pack the epoxy resin in there, it sort of acts a bit like a rivet. But as it happens, it's all pretty solid. I've had it together and up and running. So what I've done is I've put a screw through from the back, as you can see on the other bit, and put a dome head nut on the end of it here, so at least it's not sharp and scaggy like it'd scag your hands. So I'll put the saw back together now. We'll take it outside and give it a start. As I was explaining earlier on, what people tend to do with a lot of chainsaws is hold them like that, which is a bit naughty because the blade's waving around, and as at the moment my little dog's running around, but he does tend to stay away. You shouldn't really be mucking around the saws when you've got dogs around, or children for that matter. But what people tend to do is start them by pulling the saw like that, you know. Whereas really, what you should be doing is pulling it like that. At least when you're pulling like that, it's a straight pull, not pulling out. A lot less likely to break these parts. But as you can see, he's a nice little runner. Great little saw. The only drawback with these older saws is getting some of the parts for them is not easy. The importers of the parts in the UK, I had the last couple of air filters and fuel pipes for the tank that they had, and it seems to be a bit more available parts in the States. Parts Trees seem to have most of the parts, but they're not very keen on posting them to the UK. So I've got to do devious things, get them posted to relations in the States, and then get them to post over, because they don't seem to want to ship to the UK. But they're nice little saws, can be picked up cheap, and yeah, they're good all round.